What's up, everyone? Aaron Schatz here, Editor-in-Chief of ASE Publishing, and today we've got another review for you. This time it's the Kingston HyperX Alloy Elite Mechanical Gaming Keyboard. This bad boy right here. This is review ID 60079. You can check out this and all our reviews by going to www.aselabs.com. However, I will save you the trouble right now because you are watching this on YouTube or somewhere else. Either way, there's a subscribe button right down here on YouTube's site, and if you're not viewing this on YouTube, you're viewing it on ASE Labs, that's fine too. You can go on YouTube and hit our subscribe button there. You'll be informed of all the video content as we post them, and that's all we do these days. But you know what? If you don't have time to watch this really long review, you know what you could do? You could check out the 1-minute review of this. If you check the description below, we'll have a link to that and to the text summary of this too. So if you don't want to watch anything, you can just hit the text summary, get a complete summary into 2 paragraphs of this entire review, because yes, I realize that our reviews are quite long compared to everything else. So, if you want to see it in 1 minute, you can do that. If you want to see a text summary, you can do that as well. But we're doing the full review right now, so let's get into this. To get started, I should tell you what's in the box, right? This isn't an unboxing, but basically you get the keyboard itself, the cable's included, it's not a breakaway cable. You get some replacement keys, right here, some replacement keys right there, and a key puller. To show you how that works, you basically pull this up right here, right? So let's just say you wanted to replace the W key with the regular W key that comes on. Find where it is. Here's the regular W key. If you wanted to replace the nice textured key, you would just put this key puller down, pull it up. You can see that cherry MX red switch right there. Not audible at all. And you pop the other one, and there you go. But I like the textured one, so put that back on there, put it just in there. And by the way, if you wanted to clean your keyboard, that's a good way of doing it as well. The other stuff that's included in the box is some literature, and you actually get a armrest to actually put on here. However, I don't like armrests on keyboards. I use my own one, so if you want to use it, I'll show you that right now. And as promised, here is the armrest that actually just slides into this keyboard right here. So if you wanted to use it, it'll lock into there like this, and then you got a nice little armrest. It's a little textured here. Again, I have my own, so I'd rather not use a plastic hard one. I have a softer one. But if you like something like this, it's included for you. There you go. Let's take a deeper dive into the Alloy Elite itself. Basically, I can tell you right off the bat, I mentioned this in the unboxing, that this keyboard is quite a bit heavier than the Alloy FPS that we reviewed in the past. In fact, it's quite a bit heavier than almost every keyboard we reviewed. You could feel that metal construction pretty much almost everywhere, and it's a solid keyboard. Like there's no bend in it. So you got metal pretty much on all exterior surfaces except for the top and some trim in the sides. But basically, this is one sturdy keyboard, and once it's on the desk, it ain't moving. I mean, honestly, it's not going to move. That's the one thing I do like about a heavy keyboard. And I know I mentioned this before in the Pulsefire review for the mouse, that I like a heavier mouse, but a keyboard being heavy is just great overall, because once you set a keyboard down, you don't want it to move. You don't want it to move when you're pushing down on the keys. So having a keyboard that is heavier means that there's more friction, and it will hopefully stay locked in place. Now obviously there's feet on this as well to give you more friction, and they work just fine. I've never had a problem using this keyboard and it moving around. Another good thing about mechanical keyboards, and I've extolled this virtue on every mechanical keyboard review I've done, if you haven't used a mechanical keyboard, try it. You'll never go back to having those soft membrane keyboards again. The Cherry MX red switches that this keyboard uses, and by the way, you can get this in red, brown, and blue. And if you don't know what that is, basically the brown switch is the one where you actually have a little bit of tactile feedback. It's not that loud. And the blue one gives that really clickety feel that you like click, 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 and you'll really hear it. The red one is basically a linear feedback. So it's basically the same force as it goes down. And once you get used to it, really quick typing. And mechanical keyboards are just great. I mean, you really have to use it. I don't know how many times I have to say this in every review, but if you've never used a mechanical keyboard, give it a try. I don't care which brand you use. As long as it uses good switches, it's really a joy to use. One more thing about mechanical keyboards, they're easier to clean. Because you could pull the keys off, you can actually get to grime underneath the keys if you actually wanted to clean your keyboard. Remember that these products are not that cheap, right? Like, this is over $100. So you probably want to keep your keyboard for a little bit longer rather than just throwing it away. And using this key puller, you can just pop off the key, clean the grime around it, and you're good to go. However, I'm sure most people will not even care, and they'll just see whatever surface dirt is on there and try to, like, use a duster and blow it away. But if you want to, you can do that. Let's move on to the top of the keyboard. So this is the biggest change between the Alloy Elite and the Alloy FPS that we reviewed in the past. The Alloy Elite separates the media keys and the function keys into its own bar here. And this is the one thing that I think they kind of made a limitation that really didn't need to be made. You could see that first of all, I like that there is a separation of the keys. So the function keys and the media keys are all separate. You can access them. There's a volume rocker now, which is, I love volume rockers. I hate when it's behind a key press. So the fact there's a volume rocker here, that's big to me. What isn't big to me is this space that's underutilized right here. You could actually stick keys or some other functionality in this space right here. So I feel that was a missed opportunity. I just feel this negative space right here could be utilized for something more. Maybe, you know, the gaming keys or whatever could possibly fit there. Now, in here there might be electronics. I'm not actually sure, but still, it just feels like a missed opportunity right here. I'll go into what these keys and such do a little bit later, but we're just going around the keyboard right now. So you get a normal size, good space bar. You get the regular size enter key nowadays. They used to have that little L shape. They don't do that anymore. But if you wanted to actually replace the 1, 2, and 3 keys and 4 keys with these gray components, you can do that, but I didn't care. The WASD keys, yes, I like the textured ones. If you flip over to the top of the keyboard, you can see that there is a USB port. And unlike the Alloy FPS, this guy, pushing all everything around. This guy has 2 USB ports, USB plugs on it. And this thing acts as an actual pass-through. So if you plug this in, this will actually work. It's not just a charging port, it actually is a USB port. So there you go, it's USB 2. Heading over to the bottom of the keyboard, most keyboards have feet that you can flip up. However, you should not do that because if you flip up the feet, your wrists are going to be tweaked up a little bit more. You don't want that. You want your wrists to be as flat as possible. And honestly, you should be taking breaks all the time too. So if you're doing a long gaming session, really, you should get up and take breaks every once in a while as well. But if you keep the feet up on this keyboard, like so, your wrists are now a little bit in a non-neutral. You want this to be flat, you don't want this to be up. So I recommend don't putting the feet up. Leave it flat on your desk. The Alloy Elite comes with a braided 6-foot cable to hook up into the computer. You could see 2 USB connections right here. Again, one is for a pass-through and one is for the actual keyboard to use. Braided cables on a keyboard, I think, are kind of pointless because once the keyboard is set, you're not moving it. Braided cables on a mouse makes total sense because the braids allow it to slide over a surface, whereas the rubber kind of cable does not. But in a keyboard, to me, it doesn't really matter because once it's down and it's not moving. But still, it's a nice little addition, and for a gaming product, that's what you kind of expect these days. The layout of the Alloy Elite is basically the same as most other keyboards these days. So you can see that the layout is pretty standard, 104 or whatever key normal keyboard that you have that you can pick up for like $5 to $10 these days. I like that. I like when keyboards, especially gaming keyboards, are not humongous. The only extra space in this keyboard is this top layer, and it's really not that much. What really affects me is when these keyboards have these extra side pieces and stuff, and that's annoying to me, because basically I only have that much desk space, and the desk space that I do have is valuable to me. So when there's things that protrude out like this that I may not use all the time, sorry, it's not worth it to me. So I like that this keyboard layout is like this, with this minimalistic thing on top here. That's the only extra space here. But that extra space is actually utilized, except for this part right here, as I said before. On this actual bar right here, you have function keys for the brightness itself, basically turning on the brightness to the 4 settings. I think it's off, like low, medium, and high. We'll go through all that a little bit later. This actually controls the setting of the the lighting itself. So basically, I'll show you all that in a little bit. This one controls if this is the gaming mode, which basically turns off the windows of the super key and this context key right here. I mean, whatever. And then you have the standard media keys and the volume right here. And this is a mute button, and they're all accessible without pushing another button on the keyboard, which is great. Let's take a look at how the lighting actually works on this keyboard, because every gaming keyboard needs lighting, even though everything is pretty visible without the lights. But still, in a low lit environment, lighting is very helpful. And this one uses red, which is my favorite color. So there you go. So I like that a lot. You may not like that, and I don't really care. No offense to you. If you want one that has blue, you can look somewhere else. This is HyperX's color scheme, red and black, my two favorite colors. Basically, you have 4 lighting levels. You have off, low, medium, and high. So, even though you have 4 lighting levels, it doesn't mean the actual lighting options. The good thing about this keyboard is that there is no software required. Everything is built into the keyboard itself. So once you plug this in to a computer, all these things will just work right off the bat. No software is needed. I like that in a keyboard as well. So let's just say you've got these lights on, but you don't like this mode, right? It's just pure lit. You want to change it, you hit this little button right here. Now you can see that this is the breathing pattern, right? Breathe. That's the breathing pattern. And you have this one. Okay, so this one will actually do the keys that you push. So for instance, you could see here, pushing all this stuff right here, and all the keys are lighting up based on what I'm pushing. And they'll slowly fade out. See that? Pretty nifty, right? So that's that. Next one is explosion. So based on whatever key you press, it'll actually explode the rest of them out. That's kind of nifty. I mean, most of these things are just like ooh and ah. They're not really useful. The really useful one is leaving them on all the time. And one I'm just going to show you next, or soon. This one's okay, I guess. It's the wave, goes back and forth, right? Nice little wave pattern. This one's also pretty useful. Most of the time in first-person shooter games, you're going to use the WASD keys, perhaps the control keys, and the spacebar and all this other stuff. This can be modified, which we'll go into later. And then we go back to the regular mode. Let's say you actually do want to modify the custom layout like I actually did right here. To do that, it's pretty simple. You basically hold the light button and the gaming button. And then you can see that the keyboard goes in this flashing mode right here. You can see it on the LEDs right here. And you could see that this is like going back and forth over here. It means it's ready to accept inputs for you. Now, this means you can choose whatever you want. If I want this control, I can put that in. If I don't want the control, I can click it off. But I can control, alt, WASD, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0. I want this alt, I want this control, this shift, and this key, this key, this key. And then if I hit the light and the G again, it's now saved. So if I go back to that, it's saved. And that's how you customize it. That's a really nice feature. So if you have a game that uses keys quite a lot, you can actually light those keys only. And that's actually pretty powerful. Even in lit conditions like you're seeing here, the actual red backlit keys show pretty well. Even if the backlight's off in well-lit conditions, the keys are easily read. Obviously in low-light conditions, the backlight really shines. I mean, it really does, and it's really helpful in low-light conditions. So if a lot of people like to play in no-light conditions, this is the kind of keyboard for you that's backlit. We've come to the point in the review where I always preface that input devices are very, very subjective. So I might like something that you may not like. This is one of the things that I always recommend with input devices. You should figure out a way to try before you buy, or you should have a way to return this if you don't like it. Because if I like something, you may not like something. And input devices are very, very subjective or very personal, and it should fit what you want, not what I say. I can give you my opinion, which I will do right now. As you can see, the keyboard lays pretty flat. I like that. My wrists don't crink up that much. or at all if I'm using a proper wrist pad, which I am. If you don't, you can actually use the one that's included. Touch typing, excellent. No problems whatsoever. When you get used to these red switches, because they don't have that actual tactileness, they're linear feedback, you just get used to it so fast. I can't even tell you how fast switching from a membrane to a mechanical keyboard. And the red switches just allows that, it's just a slight transition period because there's no tactile feedback of where you actually press. So once the muscle memory actually gets in your fingers, touch typing is really fast, gaming, no problem. I have no ghost fingers detected, no keys blocked other keys. So obviously, proper gaming keyboard. And actually for productivity, I like this a lot because the red switches don't make a lot of noise. You don't hear that, do you? Whereas if I use brown or blue switches, you would hear something. So if you're on conference calls, it's kind of annoying. And thankfully, this doesn't have that. Like I said earlier, though, if you did want blue or brown switches, you can get this keyboard in that. So if you don't care about anybody around you and you want to annoy them, or this is a pure gaming keyboard, get the brown, get the blue, it's up to you. And yes, I realize it rhymed, I didn't try. The retail price of this product, the HyperX Alloy Elite, costs about $110 as of this review. And honestly, I would take this over the Alloy FPS any day of the week because of this, the dedicated actual functionality and the dedicated media keys here. End of story. It's worth $10. And actually, if you're buying a new keyboard, look at the form factor right here. And if I can just hand this keyboard to you, you would feel the build quality. It's $110. To me, $110 to spend on an input device that'll last for a really long time is a no-brainer. I will remind you once again that input device reviews are subjective. And I'm not going to tell you to run out and buy this keyboard if you already have a mechanical keyboard because you probably already know the benefits. What I'm going to tell you though is if you have a membrane keyboard or a really crappy keyboard, this is a worthwhile upgrade. End of story. End of story. ASE Labs and ASE Publishing would like to thank Kingston HyperX for sending this product for review. You can check out links below in the description and on ASE Labs to purchase this product from Amazon right now. Once again, it's $110, and I think it's a really good price for this keyboard. For ASE Labs and ASE Publishing, I'm Aaron Schatz, and thank you for watching. Remember, you can hit the subscribe button right below, and you know what's interesting about this keyboard? It's red and black, which is my two favorite colors. In addition, if you don't want to watch these really, really long reviews, I'm going to clue you in on something. Come here. Come here. There's a 1-minute review of everything that we post. If you click the description below, there's a link. You can get a 1-minute review of this. That's right. I take this entire review. I smush it into 1 minute or less, and it's usually 1 minute. If you don't want to even watch videos, you can go into the description below and click the text summary. And then you could read all about this, again, in a very short 2-paragraph summary. But you should really come back and watch the actual full review as you've just done. So I hope you enjoyed it. So remember, if you have some feedback, please let me know. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you in the next one.